morning, Toastmasters. Good morning. When we hear the word diversity, we often think about culture and background, but in a new kind of diversity by Tim Elmore, he introduces another kind of diversity that shapes our team every day, generational diversity. For the first time in history, up to 5 generations are working side by side, and the 6th one is on the way. And those that work in education, we already partner with the 6th generation. So in our buildings, we have 6 generations partnering together. And if we're honest, it doesn't always feel seamless. Sometimes it feels like people are communicating across cultures, different values, expectations, perceptions, and even different jargon. I experienced this yesterday when I was reading a note that 4th graders had been passing back and forth, and I think I only understood about 2/3 of the content that was in the note and needed further clarification of what the other words and acronyms meant. But each generation isn't just different. Each generation brings something valuable based on the realities endured and the events that shaped them over time. Let's start with the building generation, also known as traditionalist or the silent generation. They were born between 1928 and 1945. The reality that shaped them was the Great Depression and the World War II. Many were simply focused on survival. Their contributions to the workforce were models of resilience, gratefulness, and resourcefulness. Their requests for those that are still working is respect of their experiences, asking about their stories, and honor the wisdom that they bring. In terms of communication, you can see on the chart, is that they prefer formal communication and handwritten notes, and they are motivated by respect. Next, we have the baby boomers, 1946 to 1964. Their reality was one of expansion and optimism. They had high hopes of the white picket fence, kids, the dog. Domestic products were the first of their generation of materials that were created in the US and available for purchase. Fast food chains were innovative and exciting. They were the dreamer generation. Because this generation was the largest of the generations, they learned to compete for roles and question authority as computers were the first to come out. Their contributions to the workplace include their experience, storytelling, and awareness of potential pitfalls. Their request in the work field is to be recognized, invite them to share their journey, and they love the opportunity to mentor others. Their communication style is to be phone calls and in-person meetings. Generation X, 1965 to 1980. The reality for them included uncertainty, Vietnam, Watergate, and economical instability. They grew up skeptical of the national leaders, and they were very independent. Because the generation above them was so large, career opportunities were harder for them to find. Their contributions are work-life balance, authenticity, and resourcefulness. Their request is to be direct, honest, and they're going to need intentional efforts to build trust through relationships. The millennials, 1981 to 1996. Their reality was shaped by strong economy, protected parenting, and high expectations. They were very involved in schools, in athletics, clubs, organizations, and not always just for the fun of it. That competitiveness really started coming out and high expectations. Their contributions in the workplace include creativity, collaboration, and social energy. Their request is to be included, be invited to share their ideas, give feedback in a gracious or receive feedback in a gracious manner, and celebrate progress. Next, we have Generation Z, 1997 to 2012. Their reality is one of constant change. They experienced the recession, a pandemic, and a heavy awareness of global challenges. Mental health is essential for them, especially in the form of anxiety. Their contributions are innovation, adaptability, and network abilities. Their request is connection, purpose, and inclusion. And now we look ahead to the Alpha generation, many who are still in our schools today. They're the 2012 to the mid-2020s. Their reality is unlike anything we've seen. They're on track to be the most educated and most tech-savvy generation in history. Many are growing up with more virtual interactions than face-to-face ones, and in a world that moves faster than ever. Their contributions are still emerging, but we can already see potential in their digital fluency and global awareness. Their requests, or perhaps their needs, is guidance. They will need help developing emotional intelligence, building deep relations, and learning how to connect beyond screens. So when all these generations come together, friction or NELD emotions, we're gonna try it, going to happen. But here's the shift. Instead of asking, why are they so different, we can ask, how can we leverage what they bring? Because these teams with diverse perspectives are creative, more adaptive, and effective. According to Elmore, bridging the generational gap requires intentional effort. It must be done by design and cannot be left to chance. Here's his recommendations. We can create opportunities for connection. So as leaders or teammates of colleagues of multiple generations, is we can put structural conditions in place to have conversations outside of work context. Team builders, team gatherings, creating space in our days to understand one another. We can start with an agreement and conflict. When tension arises, we tie back to our mission, our vision, and our purpose, and that's gonna help us move forward with our different perspectives. We can communicate our style and assumptions clearly. When we're asking for clarity, seeking clarity, or providing feedback, we can be straightforward about our communication style, but also ask what theirs is. And most importantly, we can remain both the teacher and the learner. By having that posture, they talked about in the book about reverse mentoring, that not only does our younger generations need the wisdom of our older generations could also use the flexibility of our younger. So, as a final quote, speak as you believe you're right, but listen as you believe you're wrong. Because this kind of diversity isn't going away, in fact it's growing as people are living longer and working longer, we will continue to work across generations for years to come. So the question isn't whether we will experience these differences, the question is how will we lead through them? Will we build walls, judging and dismissing, or will we build bridges, seeking to understand one another and valuing each other's perspectives?